Hi everyone, it's Lisa Brown with InkandInspirations.com. Thank you for joining me. I'd like to welcome all of you who are watching either on Facebook for Sunday Crafternoon, or you may be watching on YouTube or on my blog. So come on in and we're going to get started with a card and a couple of projects really made with the Harvest Hellos bundle that's in the Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog. And you can find it here on page 49. And the bundle is listed right here with a little 10% off. You can get the stamp set and the punch bundled together using one item number, 153037, and get that for 10% off if you buy those together. So this is a great set that has pumpkin, jack-o'-lantern, apples, great for teachers, great for fall. So let's get started. We're going to be using also the Come Together Designer Series paper. That's our fall. The colors include that pretty peacock and mint macaron, a lot of what you're seeing in home decor now, and I love that we're carrying that into our crafting. So here's the card we're going to make where I used those colors that I'm seeing out there and as inspiration. So let's get started. I have a piece of very vanilla cardstock cut at 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to do a landscape style card. This is a piece of that designer paper, Come Together, cut at 4 by 5.25, and it's in this gingham pretty peacock print. I'm going to set that aside, and I already have cut this piece of pretty peacock cardstock, and I have used the largest of the stitched nested rectangles framelits, or dies I should say, from the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. And that number is 149638. It's in the Bird Ballad suite there, but I have found that these are so versatile that you can use them with any card making project that you have. Okay, so this is going to be like the background for our pumpkins. So I'm not going to adhere that down just yet. We're going to do some stamping. So I'm going to get another piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm using crumb cake ink, and I've got the pumpkin stamp already mounted, and I have a piece of scrap because I'm going to be doing some stamping off to get a very light image of the pumpkin. All right, so I'm going to ink this up, and we're going to need 3 of those. So let's stamp off here. And I'm going to try stamping off twice and then coming in, and there we go. I like that look. Okay, so stamp once and again, and then come to your cardstock. Okay, and I'm going to ink it up again. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let me put this away. And I am going to punch these out with the Apple Builder Punch that also punches this pumpkin. Same shape. And I'm just going, it'll punch out the stem and the leaf too, but I don't need those right now. So I'm just going to stamp out the pumpkin, punch out the pumpkin shape. And we're going to jazz those up just a little bit. Okay. Here are 3 pumpkins in Very Vanilla, and I'm going to take my Wink of Stella pen and just pull that out. Make sure that's screwed tight. Sometimes it comes loose, okay? And then I'm just going to take this and paint, and not solid, just giving it a sparkle. And I'm going in the shape of the curved lines. Not that it matters, it just gave me some uniformity into the look of the 3 pumpkins. Okay, and I might need a little more in my brush tips. So you squeeze to bring these down. Oh, I got plenty right there. Okay, let's do this. So I have a pool of it sitting over here on my cardstock, and so I'm getting this a little more sparkly than the sample card, but that's okay. It gives it some definition. And those are going to dry really pretty. Okay, so I'm going to leave those like that and let those dry a minute. And then I'm going to show you what else I've got here. There's a leaf also in this stamp set that is a nice pumpkin leaf. And so I'm going to get that out and just show you how easy. This with Pear Pizzazz on Pear Pizzazz cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to stamp 3 of these, full strength. And then what I did is I took my snips and I fussy cut all of those out, just not cutting right on the line, but getting close to it and leaving a very small border. I do that to keep from cutting out part of the image. And I already have those punched and ready to go. I mean, not punched, stamped and fussy cut ready to go in here. So I'm going to get those out and show you my sentiment. Here I use the Give Thanks sentiment from the set, and this is the smallest of the stitched nested labels dies. Okay, so that was the perfect size for that Give Thanks. So I'll be using that in a minute. And then let's see, I am going to punch some stems. There is a stamp for the stem, but I decided that I was just going to take my crumb cake punch cardstock with the punch and punch 3 of those out. Okay. So I have those there, and then what I wanted to do was take my crumb cake ink and a sponge dauber and just kind of sponge those up, give it some color. And I don't try to get it solid or too dark, just to give it a little definition. Okay. All right. So I have those. I have my 3 pumpkins. And now I'm going to show you what I did for my little vine that you usually see off of pumpkins. Here's the stamp if you were doing a flat one-dimensional image. But I took a pencil, and this is our braided linen twine or thread. And I twisted it around a pencil really tight, and then I just ran my fingers over it to get that curl to stay. Kind of like an old-fashioned DIY curling iron. Okay, so here we go. See, you got the little sprig, and I cut it longer than I need so I can trim it off. So I'm going to leave that right there, and we're going to start building up this scene. All right, so I have a little bit more Wink of Stella there than I wanted initially. So I'm going to put that one here, and I'm just going to arrange these how I think they look the best. I'm going to put this one over here, and then this one is going to go on top. Okay, so that's going to cover that I got too bold with that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use some liquid glue and put down the 2 that are going to lay flat against that stitched nested label. And it can overhang the label itself, so I just want to have room to put my stem and my leaf. Also, don't put glue up here on the top so that you can slide your leaf or your stem underneath it for sure. All right, let's take this one that I got a little Winkastella happy with. Put it there. And this one is going to go with dimensionals over top. So I'm going to go ahead and do my stems and my leaves on these bottom two. Just like this. And I don't worry about if the stems are curved the same way or not, because that's not nature anyway. And it doesn't matter. So this one's going to be just a little different than this one, and that's good. Let's go ahead and do the leaves for the bottom two. I'm going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the bottom here and go close to the stem. Okay, like that. I want it a little more. Like that. And then let's go with this one over here, like that. And now I'm ready to do my center pumpkin here, and I'm going to use dimensionals for that. And so let's go ahead and use a few here to pop it up, give it a 3D look. All right. Okay, let's see. If you want it to really pop up, you could stack your dimensionals and use one on top of the other. I'm just going to use one this time. And I'm going to kind of angle that a little bit. And then I'll put the stem, the glue on the front of the stem, and then tuck it up behind there. I'm going to press down on it to get it to set, and then there we go. And that way the stem is adhered to the back of this pumpkin and kind of sits away from the rest of the image there. And let's do the same thing with the leaf. Okay, I'm going to press down like that. And there we go. Okay, there are a set of 3 pumpkins. Let's see if we can get them put on the front of our card. I like how that looks, even with all that Winkastella on there. All right, so let's go ahead and mount this with liquid glue on the front of our card. And I like lining it up with the gingham lines and trying to center it here. Eyeballing it, of course. And then I'm going to take my Give Thanks and I'm going to put a dimensional behind it. And it's going to overlap the label here at the bottom. So the dimensional is toward the bottom of the label here. Okay, and there's our card. All right, let's get ready for the next project. But first, we have to put our cute little vine stem on here. So I'm going to cut this off about right here. And yes, it kind of comes undone a little bit, but you just keep winding it because that curl is there, okay? And I just kept doing that, and that still may be a little long. I'll trim that off. And I'm going to use a glue dot here. Okay, and then I'm going to put it here on this front one, front pumpkin. And then I'm going to curl it back up a little bit, encourage it a little bit. There we go. Okay, there's our finished card. Okay, I'm getting ready. I can't wait to show you the next project. Okay, for our next project with the Harvest Hellos bundle, we have this cute little box for a teacher gift. but you could just leave the sentiment off or change the sentiment, and it could be for anyone. But I thought this would be cute to put a little lip gloss or some candy in for a teacher, a little hand cream. So let's get started. It's a simple assembly. I have a 6.5 by 6.5 piece of Coastal Cabana cardstock. And I'm going to put it on my Simply Scored scoring tool, and I'm going to score every side at 2 inches. So we're just going to do this, and the easy way to do it is just flip it and score it on each side. All right, I'm going to put the Simply Scored away. Great tool. And I'm going to fold on these score lines. And we're going to do some cutting with our paper snips. Okay, so you see you have 4 corners here, 4 squares. We are going to cut those off. All right, so let's do that here. And just follow those score lines and you know, cut them off. You can save these scraps for another project or put them in the garbage, whatever suits your fancy there. I have gotten to where I only save like cardstock the sizes of the front of a card, you know, that could go as a base or a bottom layer. Or sometimes I'll save the thin strips because I stamp sentiments on those. And I also will save like wide strips. If I cut off the strip up down one side, I'll save that because that's good for punching and all that kind of stuff, die cutting. All right, so here we go. We have 4 sides left now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my bone folder, and I'm just going to kind of gently curve up on each of those sides. Just a little bit. Okay. When it comes up together, it just makes for a really cute assembly. And easier to work with too. All right, so now I'm getting my Stampin' Pierce mat, and I'm going to lay this down like this. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool with this piercer part. And on each corner, I'm going to punch a hole. Now, if you're into measuring, it's about 1/8 inch down, 1/8 inch in, but I just eyeball it. And you don't want to get too close to the edge. Okay, so just come in just a little bit and punch. And so I'm just kind of coming in and punch. And I'm going down into the mat, which is great for this kind of technique, but it's also great for using it underneath when you're stamping for with your photopolymer stamps. Gives it a little more cushion. Now, what I do is I carefully just, you see how this is a thicker diameter here than the point? I'm going to take that and push it through gently. I'm just making it easier for me to thread some either ribbon, twine, or linen thread through these holes. Just do it gently. It goes in rather easily, but it does make a difference when you go to thread the fiber that you choose to use. So did I get all these? Yeah. Okay, so now you have your linen thread. And I leave it on the spool sometimes I cut it, because you never know. Everybody needs a different length for a bow that they're going to use. Go in through the outside, and I am going to tie bows, and then I'm going to come in through this side. This is going to match these 2 corners, okay? And so I know about how much I need, so I'm pull that up and trim off, and then I'm going to tie a bow. And this is what is going to adhere the sides together. So you see how it has that little opening right there, almost like a little berry basket? that's the reason for curling the sides with your bone folder. And it's just giving it a little bend. Okay, so we're going to do all of the sides like that. Okay, so to save a little time, I already have one assembled. Okay, all 4 corners tied. Got some linen thread, the bows, everything's ready to go there. So now we're going to do our embellishments and our stamping. So what I'm going to do is I have a piece of real red cardstock. It's about 3 by 3. I like to give myself enough room when I'm going to punch something. And this may be a little short. We'll see how it works for me. And I have the stamp mounted, which is the one without the curved lines here. So this is the apple, this is the pumpkin. And I'm going to use my embossing buddy, which is a great tool when you go to emboss, and you're going to rub it all over where you're going to stamp with Versamark, which is a clear, it's a watermark ink pad. It stamps clear, but it's used for embossing or tone-on-tone stamping. It just kind of makes the cardstock darker where you stamp. And like that. See? It's, okay, so you could leave it like that, but I want to emboss in white. So I have my white embossing powder. Goodness. All right, so let's get this. I like to keep it in a container. Now, what happens here is that the embossing powder will only stick to where the Versamark went because I've used the embossing buddy. But you see right here, I kind of got a little enthusiastic with my stamping, so I'm just going to scratch that off. You could use a little paintbrush, which I always keep, in case I get some strays, and just brush it off, okay? All right, so now I'm going to get my heat tool. Sorry for the noise. Let it heat up a bit. I'm putting it on the 2, the hottest setting. Let it heat up a little bit. And then you're going to go over the embossing powder there. And it gets brighter and whiter as it starts melting. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, now I'm going to get those little accent lines, make sure those are done. And that's ready. Now, when it's hot like that, it's still a little tacky to the touch. So I'm going to let that cool off a little bit. And I have already stamped the leaf on Call Me Clover and the stem on Crumb Cake. And I also embossed those in white. There's the leaf, there's the stem. So I'm going to get my apple builder punch. And you see this little scrap? I mean, it was a big piece. And I've just will discard it. This one, I'm through with this one naturally. There's the leaf. Let's throw this one away. And then I'm going to punch the stem. Okay, and I'm going to throw this away. All right, now let's check on our apple. Oh, I forgot to do the sentiment, guys. No worries, I can still do it. To an A+ teacher. You know what? I think I'm going to... No, I'm going to go ahead and do that. My little granddaughter is starting preschool this month, and she has 2 teachers, and she can give one to each. Oh, this is the wrong thing, Lisa. All right, so to an A+ teacher. Okay, so now I am going to be safe and do a little bit of the embossing buddy again, and then I'm going to stamp this right in the center. And let's go with the white embossing powder again. Sometimes I get so excited about what I'm doing, I forget some steps. But not to worry, not too late to go back and do this one. All right. So let me heat this up again. And let's go over. And it won't hurt to go over what you've already embossed. If this same thing happens to you, it won't hurt it. I'm just going to have to let it cool a little bit before I slide the punch in. That looks good. I like that. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Let's let that cool a little bit. Where is our box? This is going to go here. We've got our stem and our leaf. And I'm going to go ahead and on this, you can slice up cardstock to put in here, but this is just copy paper because I wanted white. And I thought, you know, that'll be a little good filler. So, and you can take out if you don't need that much. Okay. All right. So then I can decide what I want for my front while we're waiting on that to cool. And I think I want this. I don't know why. Just because. Okay, so I think we're ready to punch. I'm going to slide this in. Okay, and that fits just right. If for some reason when you put your cardstock in, it won't go down as far as you need to just take your snips and trim off some of the bottom so it'll slide down where it will punch just like you want it, okay? And I better leave well enough alone here. Punch! Yay! Okay, look how cute that is. Okay, so I am just going to use some liquid glue to put that on. So, and then let's do the stem next, shall we? A little bit here on the back. And then a little bit on the leaf. Just like that. Okay, super cute. I love that. I love little projects for school or teachers, being a teacher myself. I know this is surprise and delight. Okay. All right, here are our two projects with the Harvest Hellos bundle with this stamp set and punch. If I can help you with anything, please let me know. Currently, from September 1st through 15th, I'm having an ordering incentive, so be sure you visit my blog at inkandinspirations.com to read all about that. And I will talk to you again soon. Let me know if I can help you with anything, and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.